You know? You've all had that when somebody says, well, you were auditioning a lot more last year, weren't you? Yes, as a matter of fact, that's true. You know, the fear, a lot of people, what you're not fearing is success. You're not fearing success. You're fearing having a taste of it and then having less of it and having to go back to the disappointment that you were in before, but at least you were there. You were in control of it. Now, it's been taken away from you. So that also comes up. And what do auditions suggest to you? A chance to gain, to succeed, to win, all that. So a lot of people, the nervousness is about, well, I'm really glad I have this, but what if I get it? What if I get it? Well, then I've gotten one, and then what? And then what happens when it's over? A young lady told me the other day that she had this thought right before she went into the audition, that it was a 2-day job. And even though she really wanted it, she started thinking about how let down she was going to be on the 3rd day when she wasn't working. And I thought, well, that's a really good answer. Don't work any days, and then you won't have to go through that, will you? You know? But that, as much as I make fun of that, it's also in that moment perfectly logical. Because who wants to be let down? Who wants to lose? Who wants to win and then have to give something up and go without? Who wants to taste the better thing and then have to eat the gruel? Nobody wants that. So that situation is also, because we all think, gee, I want to succeed, and we do. We do. But we also have the fear that it will bring about a situation that we have to do without. So, the next S is stress. Now, we talk about this all the time, about stress. Well, I was stressed out, we say, you know. I was under a lot of stress. And do any of you have psychology background, studied psychology? Do you understand what stress is? It isn't like a feeling. Stress in the psychological, physiological definition is an actual condition of things that your body does to compensate for enhanced activity, and primarily enhanced fear activity. The more we have fear, the more we will have a stress reaction. Now, what's interesting in life is that with all of the things that we have gained, technologically especially, you notice how the world is more and more and more stressful? And the reason for that is that all of these things that we've gained that have put us in touch with more information have created for us that idea that we don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough energy, all the various things, because there's so much more. Well, I can Google anything. All the information in the world is available to me. Now I just get to sit around and worry about how I don't have enough time to enjoy all the information that is now at my touch. Somebody told me about a new program that while you're working, it will run over here updates from all the websites that you most currently like and use. So, you know, you're writing a letter, and here comes the New York Times, and here comes the weather in London, and here comes the stock market, and they're running right next to you as you're trying to work. God. And he was talking to me about, gee, it would be so great, I can keep track of so many things while I'm working. And I thought to myself, I would pay any amount of money to not have that on my screen. The last thing I want to do is have all of this update stuff going on. As interested as I am in all of it, and as happy as I am that I can go access it when I want it, a constant feed of it. Now, for people younger than me, they're not old enough yet to realize that that's a death sentence. And they go, oh, I can have more information? Good! You know, my iPhone will also be a, you know, it's... So we take on more, right? Do you know how many apps there are for the iPhone now? Who's an iPhone junkie? You know how many apps are there?
I don't know how many apps there are.
4,325 as of yesterday. They added 31 new ones.
How many? What?
apps, applications, things you can put on your iPhone to do things with.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not talking about recreational apps, like the ones where you've got the Magic 8 Ball, those don't, or the beer thing, you know, those apps on your phone. Not those. Not recreational apps. Functional informational apps, 4,300. They add 20, 30 of them a day. That's how much more information and much more manipulation of information is available to you. Now, what that does is produce an underlying amount of fear. Darby's checking right now. Gee, really? Is there one I missed? And then there's just that fear. I wouldn't want to miss an app. That would be terrible if there was something at my fingertips that I didn't have. Then we start. That's why we're stressed. You know? I mean, we have built a world where we are reproducing that stress exponentially, moment by moment by moment. Some of you, you know, those of you who are under 35 don't remember this because there'd be no reason to. But I went through political campaigns before we had the 24-hour news cycle and before we had as many cable outlets. And campaigns were pretty simple, you know. This guy stood for this and this guy stood for that, and you picked, you know. All of this cross-action and what's Sarah Palin doing to what moose, and I mean all this stuff that goes on is like mind-boggling, and pretty soon you notice how you don't know who to pick or what are they really saying, and they said this over here, but then I heard them on Rachel Maddow and they said something else, and pretty soon, you know, we don't know what we stand for. That's stressful. All that stuff is stressful. Now you can't escape that. You literally can't escape it. Well, I was standing in the line for this movie the other night, last night, this Anvil movie that I told you about. There's one of these new billboards that advertises upcoming movies, and it changes all the time and gives you lines and previews, and I thought, this is crazy. You know, it's enough just a billboard to try to read what's on it. This one, while I was there, gave me more information than I used to have at my immediate access at any time. There it was on a billboard just while I was standing in line trying to listen to a conversation, while two people front and back of me were twittering and commenting about what toilet their friends were sitting on. I mean, it's insane. The amount of constant information that is available to us, and it produces stress. Now, I wouldn't trade I don't Twitter, but those of you who do probably wouldn't trade it, because I guess it has a value. Yes, a lot of people are doing it. I certainly wouldn't trade the internet, not for a second. My computer goes down for a minute and a half and I'm like panic-stricken. And it hasn't been around that long. I'm already completely, my life is devoted to it. You know, I wouldn't give up any of it. And yet what you have to do is go, oh, I am being asked to deal with an extraordinary amount of information, and just the processing of it produces a level of stress. We're just asked to do that much more with our minds and bodies and our reactive systems. So this is the world that you walk into as an auditioner, or that we all walk into for any reason. But as an auditioner, now there's something at stake, right? I could get a part. It could advance my career. It could make my agent like me. It could make them get me more auditions. If I got more auditions, I'd meet more casting people. If I met more casting people, more people would like me, potentially. If more people like me, I'd get in for more things, and pretty soon, I would build a career. All good stuff. A lot at stake in that audition. A lot at stake, because it could roll out to something. How many of you have a friend who off of one audition has had something amazing happen to them? I had probably hundreds of students go through here. You know, we're just students. They were just folks taking class, and they'll call me up and say, you know, Nadine Velasquez, you know, called me one day and she said, I'm on this new show called Earl. Really? What a shame, you know? I mean, it was just another audition. It was just one of 3 she had that week. It didn't mean anything more than anything else. It was just another part she hoped she got. But that particular part turned into, you know, and you all know folks like that. You hope for a moment like that, right? Because any audition could potentially lead to that. There's no even the stupidest one-day thing that is just that director could be doing something next week that you could be the lead. I mean, you all know that.